Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Closed Traffic Podcast. Our sincerest apologies for being a little bit late. We were having some technical difficulties, but we are here nonetheless. We have an exciting show for you all this morning. I hope you guys are sitting back, relaxing, but also ready to engage in the chat, man. This is going to be a highly engaging stream with a highly engaging guest and company in FlightFx. But before we introduce FlightFx, I've got to swing it to my co-host and ask Mr. Johnny, how you doing, man? How you doing out there in the Midwest?
I'm Midwest. What? Oh my gosh. Anywho, we're just going to politely glaze by that. But anywho, no, I'm doing well, Mike. And we're fashionably late, sir. Fashionably late.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
But no, doing well here. Starting to cool off. Looks like the oven is being turned down, so I'm all good with that, man. What about yourself, brother?
Man, same here, man. After about 6 days of 110 degrees here in SoCal, it's finally cooled down. We've got a front that moved in, brought us some rain last night, so all is well, man. All is well. But let's jump right to it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Mr. Nick on from the FlightFx team. Nick, say hello to the people.
Listen, Mike, don't even try and say my last name, man, because I know.
you notice I glazed by it, man, because I didn't want to ruin it.
I mean, I saw you do it, and then you look like you. See, I'm used to it. Like people like look at my name, and they're like, "Oh, crap! I got to introduce this dude," and I forgot to figure out how the hell you say his last name.
Steve, if I was a better host, I would have asked before the show started.
Yeah, like the eyes go like, "Oh, wait, shoot! I just read it." No, I'm good. I'm good. Wait, were you taking offense to? Wait, Texas is no longer in the Midwest, I guess, huh?
Yeah. What was that about?
We seceded. Well, didn't you read that on the news? Like, we're always pulling some kind of shenanigans, right? We're trying to like secede or something or whatever from the
like Midwest.
Yeah, man, we're trying to create our own.
The map moved, man. That's where you are, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we moved it, bro. Texas.
But no, Johnny, man. I got a question for you, man. So
talk to me.
Like when you guys are together with Charlie, you ever feel left out at all, dude? Like, because you know, man, like you're the only one who wasn't given a phonetic alphabet name.
Yeah, that's true. Man, yeah, I've gotten used to it growing up. My name being very bland, and I don't have a middle name either, so it's even worse. It's like Johnny Green. So, very bland, very
I did not know that about you. Really, no middle name.
Yeah, man. You didn't know that?
I'm just saying. You guys got a podcast called Closed Traffic. You're all into aviation. One guy's name is Mike. The other guy's name is Charlie, and then Johnny.
Exactly. However, I have been entertaining the idea, Nick, of changing it to Tango. I don't know, man. Tango just rings for me, so I don't know. We'll see.
Tango Green.
Yes.
Yeah, that might be a little weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how we roll here in CTP. But but yeah, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, Nick. I think I reached out in the DMs, man, and I was just blown away by the Honda Jet and really got to dive into the company, because we've noticed a lot of new players in the field. It's like, let's check these guys out. And I mean, the portfolio is sweet. You guys have an awesome Chicago scenery up there. Just amazing. Chicago, I'll talk to you eventually. Chicago executive. So you guys out there, if you haven't checked it out, please take the opportunity to check it out. And we had to bring you on, man. Just check you guys out and have you guys, tell us your story and what makes FlightFx different from from the rest out there.
Well, first of all, I appreciate it. I wish I could say the portfolio was sweet. I know you're being generous, but that's actually it's a nice I guess a segue into the purpose of the the point of the question. And I'll get into how we started in a second, but one of the reasons why there isn't 1,000 things in our portfolio is we've only been doing this for like, I don't know, it's like a year and a half or something like that. And, whatever half-baked, ill-conceived, preconceived notions or whatever, about getting into this being gone, we try to spend a lot of time, energy, and effort into some of the things we do. So that there isn't like 1,000 things like up there. There will be eventually, but it's kind of interesting because when we got into this, I said to my guys, look, let me back up. Let me do this. Let me back up because let me give some context for people, because that'll sort of better make my next comment better understandable. So there's we were like sort of a pandemic business, right? What happens is I work in the live event business. So we do like large scale events for like Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that all around the globe. Obviously during the pandemic, that got flipped on its head. So, I went from like traveling like all the time and my family like never seeing me to sort of like being stuck in the house. Now, fortunately, we had really good leadership. So we were able to plan and pivot accordingly. So and this is all relevant here for a second.
Sure.
So we always had a virtual event business component to the stuff that we did, kind of not entirely different than what we're doing now. So we quickly shifted into with some clients, stuff like that, doing like virtual meetings where people are scattered across the country, getting people spun up on like, Zoom and, whatever, choose your platform. But in the process, one of the things that we also did was build out our own virtual event platform. And we did some stuff for some really high profile clients. We did product launches for Fitbit, where we created like a video game like environment for like press to come in and navigate and like, go do certain things and like that. So, and we actually won some awards for it. CNN and Wall Street Journal said it was like the best virtual event of the year. Wow. It was like all kind of different. And because of that, that's how I met a couple of the guys that are on my team, that were all the founders. So there's the first one that I want to introduce is a guy by the name of Thomas Livings. He comes from an architectural rendering and design background, right? So He was an architect back in the day, and now his primary focus is he does like large scale like renderings for like giant real estate clients, right? So stuff like World Trade Center rebuild, Sands Casino Group, graduate hotels, like, for anybody who's from the United States, that it's in the Midwest, they have a lot of those, usually around colleges and stuff like that. So he does a lot of like, stuff that you would look at and not know what is like, you think it's a picture, it's not a picture, right? So him and his team, they come from that background. There's a couple of guys that CJ, Alex, Leo, and some of the guys from our Discord channel will be familiar with, some of those names that work under him. And then also part of what we were doing had a technology implementation side. And that's where Jordan and Peter come from on that side. And they do a lot of like high-end, large-scale, like tech build-outs and stuff like that, and technology solutions stuff for Fortune 500 companies and things like that. So we all came together in the pandemic to solve an entirely different thing, right? That had nothing to do with flight simulation.
Interesting.
So, now here's where I'm going to like lift the kimono a little bit and say, somewhere in our boredom, well, I mean, I shouldn't say boredom, like that was probably one of the busiest times in my life. I mean, I remember like, being up like 48 straight hours with like a live event, like, with a major client, and like we're adjusting videos. There's a guy running to a studio in California to like, upload some stuff like with seconds to spare. Looked like something out of a movie. I mean, it was a very, very stressful time, but it also had like periods of like where it would just drop off. And I remember, also this is right at the time when Microsoft Flight Simulator came out, right? So it was like mid-pandemic or whatever. And I remember just being on the phone with the guys, and I said, what would be a good idea, right? What we should do? Kind of like what's his phrase from Southwest is like sketching out the the plan for Southwest Airlines on the napkin. And right, because like and I vaguely, and I'm sure there's a lot of eyes are. I vaguely remember saying to my guys, this should be easy, right? Because we all kind of, come from this background where like this should be, like, come on, Tom, you should be able to like kick out, airports like left and right. And he like looked, he said, yeah, I can do this. Nobody thought much about the SDK or whatever, it being in its infancy and all of this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So what happened was, we took a swing at our first airport, which was supposed to be Fort Lauderdale International. Like, we actually built out this whole, like, we're very organized. We run ourselves like as much as we can like a business.
Sure.
We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we run ourselves very much like a business.
Sure.
We have our Friday meetings. We have we have a legal team. We have all of these kinds of things that I don't think are usually typical to like a small group just starting out, right?
No, not in this.
No.
This community. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Should be.
And it's just because we come from that background, right? So we put together. Jordan does his matrix thing, and he built this like sheet to kind of score different like places and stuff that we should do, and for various reasons, Fort Lauderdale International scored high. And we're like, yeah, like, let's do it. We took photos and, all this kind of went through this thing and stuff like that. We started doing it. And then, like a bad prom date, the SDK shows up and says, well, I'm not doing a couple of these things that you guys want to do. Because of course we picked like one of like 3 airports that has like a raised elevated runway. And the SDK is like, at that time, now you can do it, but at that time the SDK was like, piss off, right? We're not going to do this. So we were doing it. I mean, we were fine. We were making progress and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, like a lot of it's done. But we were not ultimately satisfied with what we could do at the time. We didn't want to put out something that's bad. We didn't want to, like have holes in the runway or just like missing crap or just stuff like not performing correctly. And also knowing that, quickly getting humbled and realizing that, it's a learning experience.
Sure.
We said, all right, let's just shelve this. And let's bite off something a little bit more manageable. Obviously Chicago Executive, which is literally 2 miles from my house, became like a good option to say like, okay, let's learn on something. So Tom and I met each other, out there. And I think that was actually the first time we physically met each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were out there and we're taking pictures and I remember we were wandering around the construction site and there's like, on the side of the field, the guy's like asking us like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And we're like, taking photos for our architectural renderings. So, he's like, oh, okay, well, just, blah, 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 whatever. So, that's how it started. And to kind of bring this conversation, full circle, the thing that I said to my guys, like right from the get-go was, we're only going to do sceneries because you don't want to mess with airplanes. They're complicated. People have all sorts of opinions, right? It's impossible to get anything right. You'll never make anything happy. It's kind of like my dad told me, he goes, listen, when I was growing up, he's like, if you're going to try and make everybody your friend, you're never going to have any friends whatsoever. You'll never make anybody happy.
Facts.
And that's kind of a little bit what like doing an airplane is like. But yeah, so I said, listen, we're never going to do it because like, don't bother. Like, you need to have like, like coding background, aviation knowledge, all of that kind of stuff. So, we're like, screw it. Like, yeah, whatever. We'll just do sceneries. We're going to bang out all these sceneries and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. So yes, I mean, we put out Chicago Executive, and we fumbled our way through that, screwed up the launch. We did, we vastly underestimated the amount of time it would take to get on the marketplace. That took quite a bit of time. And we went to the third party stores. Lars from Contrails was great. He was one of the first people to reach out to us and said, hey, like, I've been following your stuff. I'm like, I don't know how, right? So like we had like no idea what we're doing, but I think a little bit of it came out of like are savvy for doing like press release and marketing and stuff like that. So he picked up on us early. He was really, really good to us. I'm extremely thankful of him. And then I think Ed from Orbix reached out to us right after that. Also, we, out of a sense of, I think initially it was like nostalgia and, being a longtime flight simulator, we reached out to flightsim.com because they've been around forever. I just wanted to do that just as a sense of like, I don't know, duty or whatever, if you will.
Sure.
So because they've always been really good to the community for such a long time. And that's kind of how we sort of stumbled our way out of the gate. Eventually we got in the store, we botched that, forgot to hit the button for the Xbox release. So it didn't make it on the pages and stuff we want. So we've never gotten a nice clean, a clean like launch, that we wanted, but we got there. So, we started picking, it's a long winding story here, but we started picking other projects and we said, okay, let's, we'll step up a little bit. Let's not bite off more than we could chew. We said, let's do DuPage. We actually got connected with the DuPage Airport Authority. And they were really excited. Like, hey, they gave us a private tour of the airport with a, little, lights and sirens thing. So it was great. We were able to take pictures of things that we wouldn't have been able to, like literally stand on the tarmac and, get frame shots. And we can have a conversation about people always offering to help to take pictures to build airports. That's a whole nother conversation, but you got to frame shots the right way so you can, your texture artist can do stuff with it. So, we started doing that, and here's where the story kind of becomes full circle is, so my real life boss, is also owns a company called Plane Masters, which is based in DuPage, which is how we got, DuPage's access. Plane Masters is a charter company, right? So he's into aviation. He's a pilot himself and all this kind of stuff. So, he hooked us up with that. So as we're making the rounds, we stop on Plane Masters and the door opens and inside is 2 Vision Jets, right? Sitting there amongst a bunch of other things. And, Tom and I are taking pictures because we want to model his hangar, right? Make sure it's good. And I looked at Tom. I said, "Well, Tom, if we were ever going to do an airplane, that's the one you want to. That's a good one to choose right there." And Tom, being Tom, started poking around, taking pictures, and in his British accent. "Oh, this is great. We have to do this." And he's like, and I'm like, "Tom, like it's one that we can model it, but see all that stuff in the dashboard, like that's a whole nother thing." So, we started poking our nose around a bit, and that's when we ran into to Luke from our team, who was at the time tinkering around with doing his own Vision Jet. And his strength was more coding and programming and stuff like that. And, he has a little bit of an aviation background. So I reached out and contacted him and just said, heck, hey, what are the chances that you want to get together on this? And he was like, sure, I'm in. We worked out a deal and it was sort of off to the races with that. And then the Discord channel was born. We made some press announcements. People started flooding in, picked up another member of our team, a brilliant kid who's about 14, 15 years old, who's our community manager on Discord, who's just an absolute, he's smarter than all of us put together. That kid's gonna make a lot of money when he gets older. And then from there, a lot of our, the community started coming in, and a lot of people started actually talking to us about a guy that was working on a project for a while, the Honda Jet. And I reached out to him and said, hey, listen, what are you doing with this thing? And he kind of told me his plans, and he wasn't sure if he was going to sell it or, put it up as freeware for a while. And I looked at it. I'm like, you got to sell this, man. You can't give this away. Sorry to everybody, and him and I, we sort of became like fast friends. He's, really, really good dude. And I'm hoping, I know he was supposed to be on here with us today. And I'm hoping that, that he might be able to join us here in a little bit. But we kind of just said to him like, hey, listen, part of our mission statement, is transparency, being open, honest, being different, trying to like not be closed off, trying to absorb more of the community and kind of get entrenched in the community. And we want to be able to help out other people, especially knowing that one of FlightFx's core strengths is our business acumen, right? Like our organization and stuff like that. And we're really good at like graphic design, obviously. But I think from an organizational structure, we were able to offer Marwan a lot of stuff that he didn't particularly want to deal with. And again, that's a whole nother conversation for up and coming developers is, it used to be, you could just sort of manage your you do your thing, like, right. Just be an artist, do your thing. But now you have to literally manage your brand. I mean, it's not much different than, these kids taking pictures themselves and, ending up on Instagram. You got to do the social media stuff. You got to do all of that stuff. You got to do the marketing. You have to do these things. You have to be good at doing it. You have to want to do it. You have to want to talk to people. And Marwan's, Marwan loves talking to people. That's not his. Marwan is the nicest guy you will ever meet in this community at times 100. And he's just a unapologetically kind to everybody. He's the last person you would ever want to steal something from or take something from. He just gives off that personality where you just want to help him. And he's built up a legion of fans and followers. And that aligned with how we thought, which is, hey, we want to help other people. We want to help other developers with whatever we can at the moment. Hopefully we'll be more helpful to them at a later time. But it just all kind of lined up, and we worked on it behind the scenes, and then we did a very coordinated rollover with media. And again, Akil was instrumental. Our community manager was instrumental in getting that all done for us and organized, and moving everything over. And it was seamless. The people came over. Our people were sort of prepared to sort of welcome them, and everybody kind of meshed well. And I've been really, really happy. I think the thing I'm most proud of is not even necessarily our product. It's just that the community that we've built in our Discord community is, and you're never going to be perfect on it, but it's genuinely very, very helpful to each other. We have guys that, that a lot of them came, some of them came over with Marwan, some of them existed, some of them came over since, who we've labeled as trusted advisors, just so people can at least figure out who it is that's sort of answering their questions.
Sure.
And a lot of those people are, from the beta and alpha teams and stuff like that. That's what we wanted. We wanted to build up like friendly people, that understand. People coming into our Discord channel don't know how to filter questions, right? They might be asking you how to fly. They might be asking you how to use the G3000. They might be asking you about something that might be wrong with the airplane, and you got to have time and patience to figure that out. And I genuinely welcome those questions just because it means that people are engaged. And it kind of matches my Massachusetts personality, which is we tell our friends, if we're giving you a hard time or we're busting your chops or whatever, it means we like you. If we're not talking to you, it means something's wrong. So,
exactly.
I don't mind people coming in and asking questions, and it's the flight sim community, and it's very, very hard it's hard enough to talk to people over message, but text message and chat and stuff like that, rather than this medium here where you can see facial expressions. But it's even harder when you have to layer in the fact that you don't know what somebody's skill set is on the other end, right? Are they a pilot? Like, if you say like, hey, and you start throwing out acronyms and stuff like that, and then they try and follow along because they don't want to tell you like, hey, I don't know what that stuff is.
Sure.
So we try and cut through as much of that as possible. We want I wish people could throw labels and stuff on there. It says like, hey, I don't know any of these things. And for us over on our Discord, that's okay. Right. Like, we want, we don't want there to be a fight between Xboxers and PCers and pilots and non-pilots. And, hey man, if you want to go fly the Pelican, that's your thing. You go ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
If you got your favorite scenery or your favorite airplane, whatever, if in the fight between High Fidelity and and study level and all that nonsense. I mean, it's all stupid, man. You turn on the PC, you do you do what makes you happy,
Absolutely.
and just don't try and bury anybody else with that. So we're pretty good with that in the Discord channel, and that I think ultimately that's the thing that I'm sort of most proud of. But so yeah, and then that's kind of how we got here. Sorry, it's a long-winded story, but
that's exactly what we were looking for. So
yeah,
that's spot on. Man, you said a lot, right? I want to unpack that all because first of all, that's just fascinating. Like I don't think we've ever heard a story like that as it relates to how someone got into flight sim development or how a team got into flight sim development. I'll pause one sec. Welcome everyone to the stream. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We are live with Nick from FlightFx. We've also got a giveaway going on today. We'll get into this in a second. Nick did touch on the Cirrus Vision Jet, but I definitely want to pick on it a little bit more because, again, Cirrus is one of my favorite aircrafts out there. Johnny rolls his eyes. Aircraft manufacturer, I should say. So yes, enter hashtag FlightFx for your chance at one of the copies of the Cirrus Vision Jet. And again, thank you all for being with us this morning. So, Nick, you mentioned, when Johnny touched on, your portfolio and whatnot, and it's not as big as others out there. I could tell you, man, like in this community, I feel like less is more.
Yeah.
And I think Johnny will agree, and probably you'll agree as well, Nick. And we're not picking on any specific developers by any means, but a lot of times, especially new developers, they come on the scene and they're just launching product, right? Without any real sense of, high fidelity or, taking pride in their work, to be honest.
Yeah.
Really just looking for a quick buck. And that's, far a far cry from what you guys are doing here. Every scenery that I'm looking at here, and obviously the Honda Jet is really quality work, and the Cirrus Vision Jet looks even better. That's coming out here. So I'll say that, right. That's one of the points that I wanted to hit on.
Marwan's not here yet, so you could say that. I wouldn't say that when he comes because they don't like to kick your ass.
Oh man,
no, but really, really cool. And then, like it's interesting, as it relates to the kind of the behind the scenes that goes on around developing airports and developing scenery. I don't think a lot of people really understand, all the work behind it, all the background work, actually going out to the airport, taking photos, getting renderings done. A lot of that is really something that I don't think, the general audience within the flight sim community really understands. So I think, that's something that we have to keep cognizant of, when we talk about, one of the big things we talk about here and really across the flight sim community is what a developer prices their product at, right? Really understand all of the work and all of the behind the scenes stuff that, besides fingers on keyboard that goes into, pricing a product and selling a product. So did want to touch on that as well. But anything else from your side, Johnny, man?
Man, it's a lot, brother. Man. It's a lot. Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Like, because there's a substantive conversation to be had.
Sure.
I think is good in the very first thing that you said, which is like the stuff that's on the marketplace, and quality and quantity and all that kind of stuff. And I'm actually gonna give you a response that I don't think you'll hear from a lot of developers. There's some very shrewd and adept business decisions that have been made by some developers. And I actually want to say something that might not actually go over well with the flight sim crowd, which is you guys got to knock it off.
Yep.
Here's the thing: the marketplace is a marketplace. It's a place where people can sell stuff, and to a certain extent, you can't hide stuff, right? You can make things look better. There's plenty of reviews. You can do your due diligence, right? But there's some stuff, and we were actually having this, and I'm going to start something on my Discord, which is like kind of around sort of a monthly roundtable discussion with our like, our like, you know, beta tester, trusted advisors, and us, and our people, so they can kind of get a better sense of what's going on with us. But I kind of want the community to knock it off a little bit in a sort of idealistic like sense. We have certain levels of standards, right, at FlightFx, right, that we want to do things a certain way, and that's on us, and that only has to do with us, and that doesn't have to do anything to do with anybody else. But we live in this culture where we're obsessed with, you know, like what's the best, right, and categorizing things and naming things, and I see some of the most ridiculous. Excuse me, I don't know how PC we're allowed to be on like this podcast.
Oh no, yeah.
Some of the most ridiculous shit come across me like Facebook feeds, man. Right? like you know, I saw something came across my Facebook feed the other day where it was like, you know, this team would beat every blah 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 blah, and it was like Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe, whatever. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you don't think, you think, right? Of course. But, you know, none of these people were playing at the same time. And like, none of this makes sense. And we create all of these like sort of like false, like comparatives, right? That need to happen. Sure. And where I'm getting at is like the marketplace is the marketplace, right? And it's not, as long as somebody doesn't come on there and go, this is what this thing does, and it doesn't do any of it, then it's on you. You bought it, right? You bought it. And if you bought it because you wanted to try it out, fine, you tried it out. And usually the stuff that's not any good, or it's not like high quality or anything, is usually priced accordingly, right? Yeah, sure. And there's some people that don't, but again, you can do your due diligence and you can figure this out. So actually what I'm doing right now is defending some of the people in the marketplace that maybe don't put out stuff that's considered to be high quality. But you know what? The people that are complaining, the people that are talking about this, we're in an echo chamber, right? Yep. I mean, look where we are right now. We're not on national television. We're on a podcast that's dedicated to a niche part of society that's a niche inside of that, right? So a niche part of society that's aviation, and then a niche part of that, which is flight simulation, and then a niche part of that, which is people that are into. We're in such a small subset, and that's not a knock against you guys. It's just stating reality,
right? Of course. Yeah.
So what happens is we start, you know, yelling at each other about shit that does not matter, right? So if you don't like the way that somebody did a plane because it doesn't have like every bell and whistle like PMDG does, right? And they got their own problems, and we got our own problems, right? Sure. Right? But you got to understand. I'm guessing, heard some stuff. Sure. Flight Sim sold over 8 million copies. It's got like 8 million active users. You think all 8 million users are contributing to the same conversation about the same thing? Do you know how many people go onto the marketplace and just want to buy an aircraft? They don't care. I'm not going to name names. They don't care what cockpit it has, right? They don't care. They just want to feel like they're kind of sort of being a pilot, and they're kind of sort of flying from JFK to LAX, and they're in something that looks like whatever, and that's their thing. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because as long as you clearly state that that's what it is, and you're not fooling it, because that's the level set, right? You're not doing false advertising. That's one thing. But if you're just saying like, hey, listen, you know, and it's funny because we have these conversations where like, I hate this developer, or this is shit, and they did this, and it's like, no, like, listen, man, as long as it flies, it gets from point A. It's not exactly, you know, the same, you know, climb performance and landing there, and if that's what they want, it's cool. That's what's there for them. Because to get the other stuff, y'all got to knock it off, because what you're asking for is something that I can only give you if you go spend a few $1,000s and are employed by American Airlines, and they want to put you in an actual simulator.
Right.
Otherwise, what the hell are you talking about? Like, where do you draw the line about complaining, right? Like, there's the whole high fidelity, high fidelity, what's the word? Study level, right?
Study level.
I keep joking with my community. It's like you guys say study level, and you're sitting in this thing, right? You're sitting in this thing, your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your dog is upstairs cooking dinner for you, and your kids are running around in the background, and you got these lights and stuff like that. You're not in a full range motion simulator, right?
Mm-mm.
So it's like, where do you want to jump? So after you're done, so if you got everything that you wanted for performance in the aircraft, or what are you going to yell at next? Are you going to yell at yourself because your seat doesn't like tilt over, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have an instructor behind you. So we've created this thing that like,
yep.
That it's unattainable for everybody. And that's why there's been a little bit of a backlash that says like, hey, let's call it high fidelity. I'm more okay with that word.
Sure.
It's like I prefer the term feature rich, right? Like, we can give a feature rich product because that gives some play. And then you get into the laundry list of things that go into this, which is probably a question that you guys have, which is where do you start cutting things off, right? Like like what determines what goes into a product and what doesn't, what is price is and all that kind of stuff,
right?
But, it goes back to the thing. It's like you cannot please everybody. It's not possible. Yeah. And then a lot of times people are just upset about like things that they don't understand why things are broken. I mean, God, man, it's like some of the stuff that I found out being part of this community is amazing. Is really amazing. I mean, do you realize that like 90% of all CTDs, and I heard this from a very legitimate, reliable source, 90% of all 90% of all CTDs in Microsoft Flight Simulator are not caused by the sim.
I believe it.
They're caused by third-party interaction of software because we make mistakes. Microsoft, they know, they'll tell you like we've made mistakes on this. We whatever. Sure. We're all human, right? But it's not a closed ecosystem. We got different computers, different hardware, different components. Yep. I mean, God, man, do you know how much our Discord channel, the traffic would subside if there was no such thing as peripherals? Like people just misbinding stuff to stuff. But that's that when you step into this market, you have to also be willing to help people, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're not willing to hold hands with everybody and say like, hey, man, because I've called people at their house, which is weirding people out. People have had like they get on Discord like, hey, I got a problem, right? And so they get on with us, and then I'm like, listen, this does not work, right? Forums, Discord, it doesn't work for solving problems as complicated as Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is a resource drain on a computer to begin with. I don't know what kind of computer you have. I don't know if you've had a bad day. I don't know what your level of proficiency is. I don't want to seem like an ass asking you if you're a pilot because that's great. Right. So I've done a couple of times. I said like, and Marwin's done this too. And yes, people will tell you it's not sustainable and it probably isn't, but we try as hard as we can. When we get people that are really having a problem, like I've just said, hey, what time are you free? I'll call you. I want to look over your shoulder. And it's much easier to solve a problem that way. And every single time we've done it, we've literally it's always just been something stupid and it's not their fault. It's just that it's so like, how many times have you gone, oh my God, I forgot to shut this off. Right.
Oh yeah.
All the time. And it happens all the time. And it's just, it's not tenable to do product support through Discord and forums and stuff like that. Because, and as much as I love our community and they're very helpful, without them, a lot of this stuff wouldn't get solved and would get burdened on us.
Absolutely.
Which, raising a community that believes in your ideals is another thing that's absolutely paramount to running a business in this medium. Because if you can't have people out there helping people, we would have drowned. Marvin would have drowned, right? If it wasn't for guys like Les and Dustin and Blue Porpoise and like all of those guys that are on our Discord channel, Marvin would have drowned. We would have drowned.
Oh, for sure.
But there is a thing that persists in our community. And this goes back to the thing that I was talking about with the marketplace. It's anecdotal BS, right?
Yep.
People are still trying to solve problems in a way that was a solution for SU2, and they're still trying to do it now. And because it's on the internet or people are repeating stuff. I mean, man, this is how many times that people have like repeated anecdotal conversations to us about the marketplace. About you're not going to release something on Tuesday. Why would they say that? Bro, I talked to Microsoft. They're going to put the product out on Tuesday. Like, what do you want me to tell you? You know what I mean? But no, you can't do that. Why? Like, Mabel said we're doing it. It's like confirmed for 2:00, right? For 2:00 on Tuesday. No, you can't do it. All right, well, show up if you want to. Otherwise, wait till Thursday and buy it. It's up to you. So,
oh man,
I digress.
No, you don't digress. Really, really
No.
great points. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit, but first, let me get back to the chat here. Again, those just joining, welcome to the Closed Traffic Podcast. We are on with Nick from FlightFx. Those of you, why am I getting an echo in my ear? Weird. Those of you that
Hopefully it's not me.
have just joined. No, I think you're good. I think it disappeared. Those of you that have just joined, we are, courtesy of FlightFx, by the way, giving away a copy of the Cirrus Vision Jet upon release. We'll talk about release timeline if Nick can share a little bit later. But type hashtag FlightFx in the chat for your chance to win. Nick, really great points, and I'm glad we finally have a developer on to state what you just said and state it so passionately and so blatantly, because a lot of people dance around the topic. First of all, I think you're spot on. I think we use the word study level and high fidelity even a little bit too much. When you consider we're talking about a desktop flight sim. We're not talking about a level D simulator, full motion simulator, whatever you want to call it, right? Not even talking about a Redbird, right? Which, you can use for actual logging time with the FAA. You can't use this. So spot on, get it. I think there's a lot of complaining in the community around that aspect, and I think it has to stop. I definitely agree. I think where there's some frustration, and not everyone does it like you all, and I think you're right to a degree. It's not probably sustainable as you guys continue to grow, but where there's some frustration is developers not owning up to an issue with their product. Certainly not you all by any means. I mean, you talked about literally calling people to help them work through it, but there are a ton of developers out there, and again, we're not going to name names, that have been around for a very, very long time that do not treat their customers or their core audience the way you the way you guys treat, your customers. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration stems from in the community. You think about the fact that we're in a really challenging economic time for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people across the country, even across the world. And people are using their disposable income to invest in products and things that they find joy from. And Johnny says it all the time, right? To take a little bit of break from reality, if you will. And they go to install it and it doesn't work or it doesn't perform as described. And I think that's the frustration that a lot of people have. So I think that there's two parts of it for sure. To your point, right? There's a lot of things that are going on in the back end. A lot of things from a third-party standpoint that causes the sim to crash. Man, that's been the case since FSX, probably even FS9. Johnny, you've been simming longer than I have. Let me know. It's never really been, P3D crashed because P3D crashed, or FSX, or now Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. You've got all these things going on in the background with all these different products and people with different hardware setup. Man, I do not envy you guys. Like, really trying to figure out how to code a product and sell a product that is going to work for everyone is extremely difficult. I think, again, just playing a little bit of a devil's advocate is really someone, and again, not you guys, right? But other developers out there that
no, but
really
there are people that think
up.
it's us too. I mean, and again, that's
really?
But that's expected behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It goes back to the thing. You cannot be perfect. Like I get emails sometimes where I'm like, I'm not going to respond to this because I just can't. It's going to be a rabbit hole. It's going to be a trap, right?
Yeah.
And when you run a business, you do have to play a numbers game at the end of the day, right?
Of course.
At some point, I have to go upstairs and play with my 6-month-old daughter, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I have a little girl who's in the Borussia Dortmund soccer academy who has her first game today, right? And I got to do some stuff that is some testing on the Vision Jet. I got to work with one of my developers, do some QC stuff like that. But at some point, I got to put it down and I got to be there, right?
Absolutely.
But you can't level reasonable expectations onto your audience. Like, you cannot do it. You have to prepare for you have to set unreasonable expectations, right? You have to assume unreasonable expectations because your audience is too diverse. I mean, let's just do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are people hitting me up at 3 a.m. for stuff? Because they live on the other side of the globe, right? So right from the get-go, you can't fix everything. Like, And I'm sort of using that as a sort of an example of like right from the get-go, everybody's not on a level playing field, right? I mean, we've had people that, and I love them, and some of them are our best like commenters in Discord, that have said like, man, you woke me up with this ping in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon where I am, right? You're in that that thing. But to kind of, and I might need you to sort of re-guide me through the question, because there was a couple of things I want to talk about, is in defense and kind of speaking, and I'm not saying it's right? If there's no attempt at help, that's not a good thing. That's not sustainable. And there's an evolution of business that happens, right? Trying to think of a really, for those of us in the United States, Sears, right? There's an evolution of business. Can't find a Sears anymore. Nope. Why? Didn't evolve, right? This goes back to what we were talking about before. And this also dovetails with new developers, right? Us, and I feel honored to, and this me, so it's a little disingenuous, putting myself in the same category as these guys. But Steve from High Performance Group, who's been on with you guys, if you haven't talked to them already, you really, really, and I implore everybody, spend some time with the guys from NZA. They are making what I think is some of the best scenery products like on the market. You like our stuff from Chicago Executive. Yeah, go look at what the guys over at NZA are doing. Some of the most amazing ground texture work you've ever seen. Extremely detailed, not in a rush to put anything out. Like their Auckland stuff that's going to come out is amazing. Those guys got their shit together. Some of these young developers, it's a new crop, right? We come from a background where we understand how to deal with Fortune 500 companies. We understand marketing, we understand community outreach and stuff like that. But I think some of the blame that we're talking about, where it goes with some of the developers that have been more long term, is they're not necessarily used to this. It's evolved a little bit. Lines of communication are entirely different. Remember, it was just forums before, and it would take like a week, you get an answer on something. Now there's more instantaneous gratification. There's a lot higher volume, right? There's a lot higher volume. The numbers looking at Microsoft Flight Simulator in its current state and soon to be X-Plane, it's not the same as even FSX, right? So the communications, the line, and right now they're probably a little overwhelmed and inundated, but also remember, it's a different mindset, right? It's not that component that is like, they want to do the community outreach. Like their thing is, in a way, you could classify it as, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's more nerdy. Like I just want to be in here with my computer and build my sceneries and then push them out, or build my aircraft and push them out. The new game, though, you have to enrich and develop an audience that can work in your behalf to help support, especially if you can't do it. And especially the ones that will get most caught off guard are the ones that put out a really, really nice product, but it's just a small team. Like it becomes very difficult to support it. But doesn't mean it's not right. I mean, it doesn't mean it's right, right? So things need to be, on our side, we need to be cognizant of how we price things. Now, we price the Vision Jet, and we haven't said yet what it's going to be, but internally we price the Vision Jet, and the Honda Jet, H-Jet, was priced at a certain reason. One, to mitigate expectations. Two, right? Two, to also mitigate the amount of complaints, right? Yeah. Knowing the state that the G3000 in, knowing that the G3000 was now going to get dumped on an Xbox crowd that had never seen it before. I mean, think about the amount of people that opened up the H-Jet and just said, holy crap. Like, this doesn't look anything like the G3000 I was using. Like, this is what it really looks like. And then they start doing stuff and they run into the quirks that, and all this, and then you get people looking at the quirk. And, so, I mean, a lot of our feedback, a lot of our questions and stuff had to, really had to do more with learning how to fly, learning how to operate the H-Jet, and learning how to run the G3000. Then came a bunch of questions about its quirks and, wait a minute, why am I going back to this point from 150 miles ago that we've all dealt with, the circle back bug or whatever it's called. So, I don't know if I'm like really answering the core of your question. So let me get back to that. there's a serious problem if you have made a lot of money, built a large staff, and there are developers who have. There's developers who have built a large staff, made a lot of money, but haven't spent a lot of time in the community management, helping people, assisting, whatever.
Exactly.
There's also, and again, this is a fool's errand. There also should be a level of expectation of, listen, if I buy something for $10, right, and it does 90% of what I think it's supposed to do or whatever, but you can't go seeking out, you can't go down the rabbit hole of searching for high fidelity or study level when you buy something that's like $10, $25, right? When you're at that price point, that's not if you consciously know you went down, if you could get into the airport and they put you in a simulator and you just have to spend $1,000 with an instructor or whatever, and you consciously know that, like, you can't get upset when you're using a commercial grade simulator and there's certain things that don't work. I mean, so there's both sides that have a sort of like manage expectations, but you can't tell one side that, and that's just the nature of what we do. Like, you have to do your best. So that's why, you know, I think one of the reasons why Marwin, us as a halo effect, hopefully the same thing with the Vision Jet, we have people that generally like being on our Discord channel. Like, we have some people, I just don't know why they spend so much time trying to help other people. Like, you know, it just amazes me. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're trying to create a feature-rich product that will exceed expectations, that somebody will open it up and, quite frankly, go. And I think I even said this in a news article once. Somebody just open up and go, shit, okay, I didn't think I would get all this stuff for $25, and that's what we want, right?
Yep.
That's what we want. I'm not saying we're going to be the local crack addicts, right? Come here, kid. Let me hook you on my product, and then the next thing you know, you're completely broke because we raised the money. I don't think any of us want to do that, but we know that there was like learning built into our aircraft. We know that that take a lot of time, right? We know that, and that's why part of our strategy as a company was to take that into consideration when pricing, because, you know, if I price something over $30, I'm going to get $30 problems, right? I'm going to get $40 problems.
Sure.
If I price something under $25, I'm going to get under $25 problems. You know, and so part of it is just like saying, like, I could hire a whole staff, or I could, you know, adjust that price a little bit to you know, you help, and then you say, yeah, but you know what? Listen, man, we're not going to do that. You know,
right.
You know, in struggling with that now in the Vision Jet, with, like, you know we want people that want the cap system and the auto land system, and also there's things that go in behind that. And one of our core bedrock principles at FlightFx is if it can't be done right, we're not going to do it. It's just, you know, we're not going to half-ass it. We know we can do caps with WASM, right? But that means F off for the Xbox crowd right now at this moment, because there's nothing concrete enough that can tell me that I can plan on, so I can tell my community, oh yeah, it's coming out. But oh wait, no, it's not for Xbox, sorry, because things that are not beyond our control. So we have a tendency to be averse to things that are not in our control.
That makes sense.
You know, that's another key principle that developers can get themselves in trouble. Don't tether yourself to something that's not in your control.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
Nope. Spot on. I think what I'm going to do now, we'll do the first copy of the Cirrus Vision Jet, and bear with us because it's the first time we're doing the giveaway.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But while you're doing that, Mike, I do want to touch on a point that I've said I've said numerous times. You know, us as consumers, we do have to be mindful of, you know, our expectations. And I've said this 100 times. You can't go and purchase a $30 product, but expect, you know, this quote unquote study level performance. And you see it after every drop. And I've been dealing with the industry for, you know, well over 10 years. And somebody's going to post something in the forum saying, hey, this doesn't do a DME arc, you know, like, you know, like seriously, like you see that. And it's like, come on, guys, you know, we're not dealing, you know, with any sort of Redbird simulator. We're not dealing with level D, any of that. You know, it's a product, in my opinion, initially designed for entertainment purposes. It's there to entertain you. If you can get a close approximation and it can get you from point A to point B, in my opinion, for that price point, it's a win. I mean, point blank, but to Nick's point, you can't, no matter what you do, I don't care if, even some higher end developers, I say higher end in terms of price point, they can't please everybody. So like, what do you,
exactly.
I mean, what do you expect? And truth be told, you could put a lot of folks in a level D simulator, and then they'll have something to complain about.
They'll start talking about the visuals.
Exactly. I mean, the
visuals.
Or
you can take it another way: is you can put a lot of people in a level D simulator, and not going to get the damn plane off the ground.
No.
I mean,
half the features that are built in these quote unquote study level simulations, no one ever uses, like the offset, on offset feature on the Boeing FMC. How many folks use that, Mike? I'm waiting. I mean, offset on the McDo and Airbus. How many people use that? So I mean, I don't know, Nick. Like, it's, man, you hit the nail right on the head, my friend. I think, personally, I know you mentioned, you're being humble as far as your portfolio, but I love how, you're up front and you set the expectation. Oh, and looks, we have a winner. Someone shut up. Who's the winner, Mike?
No, keep going, man. That's fun. Tim Ackerman. Not sure which one of the streams you are in, but definitely please say something in the chat so we know you're here. If not, we'll have to run it again. Tim Ackerman, are you there?
Yep. And see a kid named Kenny. Welcome. Study level is the worst buzz phrase in the flight sim community, and I will be on board with you to agree. And then, unfortunately, it's been like that for quite some time. And again, sometimes we got to be careful what we ask for. Nick, to your point as well. I mean, they'll get study level and they can't get the thing off the ground, and they're immediately going to support for help. So, I mean, how do you win?
Yeah, and it just goes back to what I was saying before. Is like, well, actually, I don't even know if I said this, but it's like, we're not building our products for everybody. If we built them for everybody, we'd fail. Because if we built something that was quote unquote study level, 90% of the flight sim, 90% of the let's say, let me put it this way. I'll go on a limb here. I don't have data to support this, but just my gut tells me, if we built something that was true, if we built a truly study level H-Jet or Vision Jet, or whatever you want to call it, where like literally everything works, it for the 8 million plus users of Microsoft Flight Simulator, you've just eliminated 3/4 of them. They're not pilots, right? There's so many people that want to, go whatever. So you got to find this soft spot, this medium. And also there's a development cost, right? So
sure.
This goes back to the conversation that we were having. It's like, there's some people that you think that don't put out good product, or like really rich product. And I want to be very careful about not getting into anything that I'm not supposed to get into, but they're also some of the most financially successful, like, people in the marketplace.
Yep.
I mean, I can tell you this because it's from our own data. You can extrapolate sales, which is another thing. Hey, this kind of bothers me about the community, is that nobody wants to talk about their sales numbers. I really don't get it. I don't get it, right? Like, I really, really don't get it. Like, nobody wants to say like, hey, we sold X amount of aircraft, right? What? Yep. Because people are going to know how much money you made? No, because they don't know what your expenses are, right?
Right.
I mean, I could try and guess, but I think it's comical because nobody in the flight sim community wants to do it, but yet Apple has no problem releasing an earnings report.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Ford has no problem telling you how many F-150s they sold, or Mercedes-Benz, whatever. So it's weird. People don't want to do it, but we found, I think it's somewhere between 5 and 10%, which is, by the way, is typical for what I think we've all been told. Anybody who's went to college and done statistics or, whatever, sure. your the amount of respondents you have is usually something like 10% of, whatever. But yeah, so if you look this, I'm going to send a whole bunch of your followers right now into the marketplace to like kind of figure this out. But if you look at the amount of reviews something has, I think it's like somewhere between 5 to 10% of their total sales.
Their total sales,
right?
Oh.
So now run everybody into the marketplace to see if you can figure out what the best selling like aircraft is in there, and your jaw's going to fall on the floor. So
wow,
so and you'd be surprised.
Wow.
There's some stuff in there that's sold a lot. That's sold a lot, and it's not the stuff that's high fidelity. It's not. And that should be step number one for the community to orient their thinking, if that's even possible, to reorient their thinking about how a developer has to look at some stuff, because at the end of the day, we can't do it for free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have income coming from other places. So you have to make decisions on that, and you have to pull the plug on certain things. It just depends on where the money's coming from, right? So it's different if you're going to do something for the mothership. Then they're going to give you a certain set of tasks, and they're going to say, hey, you got to do this and this and this and this, and then that's where your bread is getting buttered.
Right.
If it's coming from the audience, your bread is getting buttered somewhere else. We were. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I was on last night with Luke, right? And we were on with one of our Vision Jet owner pilots, owner operators, and we're killing ourselves in climb charts, just trying to get something that's remotely close, right? And the way the sim works is like, with the stuff that's related to climb performance, you end up perfect here, you're not perfect somewhere else, and you sort of chase your tail, and you're trying to find this happy medium. And had a conversation with a couple of developers about this, and you can either like go into a coding rabbit hole to make it perfect, which adds months and stuff like that,
right?
Or you can say, hey, this is close, right? This is roughly close. We're within a few hundred feet, of climb or whatever, the speed. Then you got to figure out whether or not the manual is conservative or not, right? Because my estimated gas mileage for my Suburban says one thing, and what I actually get is something entirely different.
Absolutely.
And you're talking about something that really the pilot that's on the phone with you is the only person who's really going to know this. 99% of people that fly the aircraft are going to be like, "This is great," right?
Yep.
And and then we had, when we released, some of our initial alphas, like a lot of the feedback was like, oh, we want to do this with the sounds. We got to fix this texturing thing. We got to fix this door thing, like whatever. But actuality, at the end of the day, that's more important. Nobody's going to want to hear this, but that's more important. Making sure the textures are perfect, the sounds are better, that like quality of life stuff for the marketplace is more important than performance of the aircraft. And I know everybody hates to hear that. Doesn't mean that we're not trying to do a good job on the performance of the aircraft. I know everybody hates to hear that, but that is the actual reality, because who's your audience?
I was going to say, right? It's your core audience.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So your vocal minority will complain if like, hey, it's supposed to cruise at 311 knots and I can't get past 309. Sorry. If I fix that, now you're going to climb at 5,000 feet per minute down to 2,000 feet. So it's, unless I get into a coding rabbit hole to straighten some of that stuff out, which just means longer times. So you have to make these like balanced decisions to get to, a place that at the end of the day, you're just trying to please as many people as you can. You're just a guy with a boat and everybody's drowning, and you'll take as many people as you want. But the second you start getting people that want to complain about how the seats are, that's when you have to make a judgment call about who you're picking up out of the water.
Exactly.
That's an awesome analogy.
Well said. Wow. Well said. No, I mean, you're 100% right, Nick. Again, us as consumers, I don't think, we don't really, think about from a holistic perspective what all is entailed in making these decisions, or what decisions are being made. So I appreciate you for, giving us a little behind the scenes look on, the tough choices that, that you guys have to make on a day-to-day basis. And I get it. Me being a real world pilot, when I purchase something off the marketplace, I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, Mike, what's the first thing I mentioned when I load up an airplane? Man, this thing looks gorgeous, right? It's that curb appeal, right? To be honest with you. And as long as, when I depart and I'm not getting just something just absolutely
blatantly
ridiculous.
wrong.
Exactly, and because I've never been the Vision Jet nor Ace Jet, so I can't tell you if the climb performance is on spot on or not, right? But you can at least get a pleasant experience. You're climbing at a predictable rate of ascent. Things are functioning as you would imagine them to function. For that price point, I'm good with that, and even the in my opinion, the higher price pointed add-ons. I mean, heck, if the thing's off, a few hundred feet, or if the 99% of us aren't going to know the difference anyway, right?
And you're a pilot, and you wouldn't even know. The only people that would know. And this is funny. There's another good analogy here that I've told my guys, and everybody's sort of like gotten a big chuckle out of this. Let me segue into this. You're a pilot, right? Admittedly, so you've never been in a Vision Jet, never stepped foot in a Honda Jet, I'm imagining as well, right?
Yep.
You got no idea how fast it climbs.
No idea.
You got no idea how fast the longitude climbs unless you go look in a book and then you're like, it's so, way.
Right.
So your reference point is, as a pilot, this is a lot of fun to fly. This is a pleasing experience. And as developers, really, that's the target. Is we want people to come out and say, it's a lot of fun to fly. And I'll never be able to. I know, and we love him dearly, right? A guy on our Discord channel. He's the owner operator that I was talking about earlier.
Sure.
He goes by the name of Risk Future Stretch, whatever he's changed it, to. Very knowledgeable, very intelligent, very, very well-spoken guy that has helped us immensely. I know I'm not going to be able to please him. It's not possible. It is not possible. There are certain things that the sim cannot do that we would have to fake, or, just pressure-related stuff, climate performance stuff, fuel burn stuff. It's never going to be exact. And I know it's like having a kid that you're going to disappoint at some point, right? And that's just the truth of the matter. But at the end of the day, I need to make you guys happy as people that are have piloting experience, and just say, man, this is a lot of fun to fly. This is a lot of fun to fly. I get enjoyment out of this. The Vision Jet, right from its get-go, was always supposed to be an aircraft that lets you. It exists in two worlds in the sim. It exists in an IFR and a VFR world, right? It lets you go to places in the sim, which is why I love the Vision Jet so much, because people are going to find that it's going to be the easiest to fly aircraft, easiest to fly jet they've ever had. It's just a Tesla with wings. It's minimalist cockpit.
All the time.
There's like 16 buttons in it. You can to start the aircraft, turn knob, push button. That's it. That's what starting is. Everything is all fully automated. And it's automated on a level that's even more simplified than the Honda Jet is, because the Honda Jet's automation actually causes confusion. It's more innate pilot like automation. This is just this is just like trying to pull somebody out of a VFR aircraft and give them a jet experience. This will be the easiest to fly aircraft, I think, for so many sim community members. But the thing that I get a lot of pleasure out of is that knowing, because we all like to play fantasy, is that knowing that these people are going to be able to go visit Mountain Air in North Carolina and fly in these like little airports and stuff, and go to places that they can't go to when they're flying these large corporate jets and whatever. Now you can go to these things that don't even have their first letter country letter in the ICAO code. So so it's going to be a fun experience, I think, for those people. But the thing that I was going to say is the easiest that nothing highlights that original thing more than the fact of building a military jet, right?
Right.
Military jets sell well on the marketplace. You can look at the numbers, it backs it up, right? I mean, you can look at the reviews, it backs it up. The funny thing about the military building military aircraft is nobody's going to tell you you're wrong.
Wow.
No one's going to tell you you're wrong, and the people that are going to tell you you're wrong can't tell you you're wrong unless it's something more vintage or whatever.
Right.
But if I go in and I build it, and I'm not knocking the products, but I'm saying that the truth, the reality is, if I go in and I build the F-35 or the Raptor, things like that, who the hell is going to tell you it doesn't climb like that, right? Yeah. Who's going to tell you it doesn't perform like that? Like within reason, right?
For sure.
It's not flying backwards, but it's like, who's going to tell you like, well, you're off by a full G on the turn. You're off by, 1,000 feet on climb. Who's going to tell you that? Everybody's going to buy it.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to buy it, and they're going to be like, "Oh, this is fun to fly."
Yep.
Right, and that's kind of more of what the whole experience is supposed to be.
Nope. Spot on, my friend. Spot on. Yeah, that was my initial impression. I mean, first, the thing's gorgeous, and then, it was a pleasure to fly. I flew the thing, the other day, and but again, I think the category of aircraft, with the Ace Jet and the Vision Jet, in my opinion, I think it's, that category has been underserved in the industry, and it gives you that flexibility, right? To your point, Nick, I mean, if I want to hit Mountain Air, boom, I can hit Mountain Air. If I want to send the thing to freaking, LaGuardia, I mean, have fun with that, but yeah, you can do it. I mean, you have that flexibility, which is nice. And, because there's a lot of times I really don't have the patience, or, I just come home from work, I got my 2-year-old, he's on my lap. I'm trying to send something that's simple, fun to fly, and enjoyable experience. And, again, in my opinion, I think you guys' product hits all the points for sure, for me at least.
Indeed.
For me.
Thank you.
Man, this has been fun, guys. Last chance to win the last copy of the Cirrus Vision Jet. I've got 4 entries right now, 5 now.
Get them in there, guys.
Hashtag Vision Jet in the chat as we get ready to wrap this up, courtesy of Nick and the crew over at FlightFx. Nick, dare I say, or dare I ask, timeline on the Vision Jet that you guys can legally say right now, a time frame? What are you guys thinking?
Well, legal isn't much of the way into it because I'm not going to sue myself. Yeah, no, we do actually have a target date now, internally for a bunch of different reasons. I can't give it. We have a policy at FlightFx is that we don't like giving dates because we don't want to give a date until everything that is out of our control has resolved itself.
Perfect sense. Yeah.
Right. Because we don't like disappointment. And we know some of the stuff that we have is dragged on a little bit too long. But I can say that we are going to be out for holiday shopping. So that is abundantly clear, but we'll announce a date coming up here. Probably I'm guessing in the next month. And we typically announce a date and then it's usually short after, right? Like I think when we did the H-Jet, it was like wasn't
long,
like 2 weeks later or something when it came out.
Wasn't long.
So it's missing the holiday shopping season is not something that we particularly want to do. So yeah, I mean we're pretty much, I think, in feature lock. And to be honest with you, I think we're trying to go to beta here next week. Which I'm sure that'll make my beta guys happy. Yeah. So we've gotten some feedback on the model again, which is, just coming to the hard decision of like, this just, at some point we just got to put it down. And figure out what we're doing to move on to the next cycle. So yeah, that's about as close as I can get.
Nope,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
That works, man. That works. All right, I'm gonna start this giveaway. Let's do
And
this.
I can show
Drum
you
roll.
guys some.
Oh yeah, actually, you were gonna do that. Yeah, let's see that first. Actually,
Yeah, let me make sure I'm actually ready to do that. So,
No worries.
yeah, I can.
No worries at all.
I can do that. Let me share my screen. So where the Vision Jet. So let me give you a couple of things on the Vision Jet. So the Vision Jet's going to ship with 3 models, 3 liveries. Well, actually, it's more complicated than that. Let me lay this out. So I'm not saying anything I haven't publicly said before. So the Vision Jet in actuality has 3 configurations. It has an executive, which is 2 chairs and a little like a tray fold-out thing, right? So that's an executive configuration. And then there's 2 other configurations which are kind of sort of identical to each other, but there's differences in the seats. One is called Complete, and the other one is called Family, I believe. And basically what that is pilot, co-pilot, the 2 chairs that are in the middle, which is what makes up the executive one. And then in the back, there's like an adult chair in the middle and what they call like 2 like kids type chairs that are left and right.
Oh.
So that's what I call it, Family, Complete. The Complete, I think, is the main difference is just the 2 chairs in the middle are similar to the executive chairs, rather like in the Family one is like, I don't know. And that probably, I don't know this for sure, but it probably has something to do with just them tailoring to more like a family. I don't know, like maybe, I think maybe a little narrower or something like that. So you'll be able to bounce back and forth between the different seating configurations, and it also is going to ship with 3 different liveries. And I say that I can show you 2 of them. The third one, a lot of people have seen already. It's but I don't think I have a picture of it. I don't. The 3 liveries, it's going to be, one is that we're calling Uluru, which is actually styled off of a paint job that some businessman in Washington State had. They have I think they had affinity for going to Australia, so it was styled off of the Ayers Rock, which they call Uluru. I think that's the actual correct indigenous name for it. So it has like this orangish tone, which is similar to our corporate colors. So I think a lot of people have saw that when we released the shots that showed the Welcome to the Family thing for the Honda Jet. There was 2 Uluru liveries. I think there's also an Uluru livery for the H Jet as well. So that's like an orange and silver livery. The other livery is the one that we're calling, because we don't know what else to call it, Shuttle, which is, it's like a sort of a space shuttle font livery, which is, matter of fact, I probably should just share this. It'd probably be easier because these 2 I have pulled up. 1 second. So, yeah. So this is
there we go.
Yeah, this is the one called Shuttle. This is an existing paint job of an existing livery of an aircraft.
Wow.
Man, look at that thing.
That is, that the Vision Jet's actually painted in. Somebody decided to kind of put all this stuff, on it, just calling out its different sort of features and whatnot. This one has since been, for any of you that see like little texture alignment issues and stuff, this has all sort of been rectified since the photo's been taken, and it's a little too dirty too, which is something that we're gonna clean up. And then also there's also been some other changes here that now sits a little lower on the gear. It was sitting too high. Some other stuff. But yeah, so this is the interior of what the cockpit pretty much currently looks like at the moment. There's been some cleanup and some textures and geometry and stuff like that.
Sure.
But we put a lot of time and effort in here. It will have a dynamic registration on it. So when you change the registration, you'll see it both in the airworthiness certificate that's inside the aircraft.
That's really cool.
Real cool.
You will see it on your chocks as well. So it'll have like custom chocks. This has been cleaned up. Like this is some old texturing and stuff like that. So you will have an iPad for your static integrations, like and we'll talk about that in a quick second. You'll only have a Hobbs tracker. The other one doesn't make sense in a sim.
Sure.
Yeah. Serves no purpose. You're not changing your engine out. Outside the window, some night shots. Wow. I wish there was a way to reduce glare, but there isn't. at least that I
In
know of.
2020, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So this is the shuttle livery. So this is one of the ones that it'll ship with.
Wow.
The other livery is coming up here at the end. Yeah, some in-flight shots.
Jeez. Oh man, that is too cool.
Yeah,
Oh, this is awesome.
it does photograph well.
It does, man.
Yes, she does.
Jeez.
And
Cirrus for the win.
it will have the courtesy lighting that is sort of synonymous with the.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, this goes back to one of the things we were talking about earlier. I'm expecting a bunch of, hey, this is broken feedback on this. The lighting system is a little funky in real life. It's a taxi light, landing light situation. They're the same button. Taxi light shuts off. It changes to wigwag once it's after it takes off. So you just sort of leave the taxi light, landing lights on for the entire flight. Once the gear goes up, it goes to wigwag. The courtesy lighting system is tapped into a button that nobody will ever be able to find. That is located down here. There it is, right there.
Wow.
Right.
Oh wow.
Your courtesy lights will shut off after 15 seconds once the door closes. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get a lot of complaints about things not working, but that's it's to be expected. People learning how to use the aircraft. Let me just jump back to where I was. So yeah, it'll have the undercarriage courtesy lighting. I tried to do some sort of faked enhancements to make the light look more real with some backwards glow lighting set up on the aircraft to to mimic some reflectivity. You will have statics, like I said. There will be a cover with a customized registration.
Oh, that's neat.
That'll
go up on it. So that's dynamic. You can't quite see it, but your registration will show up in the chocks as well. One of the other things that we're working on right now is that it will have 3 pre-configured luggage weight and balance setups. So if you want to simulate like you're taking your kids to Disneyland, there will be a family vacation trip package, which has a predetermined weight that'll be in the cargo, along with the appropriate bags that you would see for such a trip. So I think there's like a set of black Samsonite luggage for your family vacation trip. There will also be what we call like a golf outing package, where you'll see some, and I have these in my Slack channel someplace. I could probably look them up and pull them up for you, but you'll see a golf bag in there, whatever, as well as like a duffel bag. And then there'll be a snowboarding package. So if you're taking the planes up to the mountains, you're going into the Swiss Alps, or you're going into Aspen, or, whatever, you will see like a snowboard in there and some other gear and, whatever. And then once you plug that in on your iPad, it'll automatically configure the weight and balance for what we assumed like all that stuff would weigh, so you don't have to mess around with it. I'm sure that will also screw up a lot of people that will use there you go. There's the thing that will use like weight and balance third party stuff, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Really proud of a lot of the detail work that my guys did, specifically with the landing gear. I think it came out really nice. More statics. You'll have all your remove before flight stuff. This can all be controlled on the iPad. This is the other livery. Wow. This is the one we're calling Raven. So this is the third. You have Uluru, Shuttle, and this is Raven. I think Raven photographs really well, especially in the snowy mountains of Alaska. This is also based off of a real world livery as well.
Bat jet, man.
Yeah.
Some of our guys have called it the Batwing. Yeah. So yeah, it looks good.
Wow.
That's awesome.
There you go. It's currently sitting here in Telluride. So
man, that livery looks sweet.
Clean. Delaware would probably be my first trip, actually.
Call it, Mike.
Yeah, that's nice.
And
That's
I can,
cool.
let's see. If I had Luke here, I'd probably run through this quicker because he doesn't have some of the stuff's not mapped in yet.
Wow.
I forget how he does it. So I'm not the coder of the group, but let's see here. Can roam around a little bit. So the lights, the cup holders all have lights in them. This is the current executive package, right? So there's your thing in the middle. The complete and the family package. This goes away, and then you'll have a row of seats that are back here on the floor.
Oh.
The TV will work. And let me quantify that. The TV is, I don't know what we're going to put on. It's not going to be anything that sucks up people's bandwidth and stuff, but
Sure.
Right.
You'll be able to open it and something funny will probably be on there. We still got some like texture and stuff, clean up and stuff to do, but we're pretty much getting there. The iPad is down in here. It's not animated at the moment. It'll pop up right about in this area. Like I said, to turn the aircraft on and off, it's easy. It's just this and that, and that's what.
Holy cow!
I didn't even know that.
That's what kills it. So, yeah. I mean, I have it all jacked up. It's not in the correct state at the moment, but that's
like the iPhone down there. That's a nice touch too.
Yep. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's just a little bit of clutter. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I don't think sound goes across in this, but it's just it's wound down. So yeah, to start it, it's just quite simply this and that. And
unreal.
Oh, I hear it.
Yeah. So we recorded sounds with an actual Vision Jet. We're working on cleaning them up now.
Sure.
So it'll sound a lot like what you're used to. Right now, there's some quirks in the sound and stuff that they'll probably come across for you guys.
Wow.
So we'll spool up. It's going to have custom. All your engine readouts are there. All your custom synoptics and stuff are done. I'm wandering into dangerous territory here. Let's see. So you'll have status and info page, engine and fuel, electrical power, environmental pressure, your ice protection system. You'll have a similar to TBM, pneumatic pressure boot. Your landing gear status. I don't think this stuff is done yet. So,
sure.
So a lot of that stuff will be in there within reason. The biggest thing that I'd really like to let the audience know is that we are definitely threading the needle here with the new G3000 coming out. So there is going to be a conscious decision to not do a lot of things that are going to sort themselves out within a month after the launch.
Yeah.
So this aircraft will be supported with multiple updates similar to the H-Jet. It just doesn't make any sense for us to venture into VNAV territory right now. There's really no reason for it. It just would not be a smart business decision. It would push the launch of this beyond the new G3000 coming out.
Yeah.
So that's all getting done and sorted. So I mean, why get into it?
Right.
As I told you, there's literally like 16 some odd buttons that are on here.
Just like the SR22 or the
Yep.
SR20.
Yeah. SR22 pilots will find a lot of similarities between the two aircraft. So this is matter of fact, this is what Cirrus likes to step a lot of people up into. But for sightseeing, for experiencing the aircraft in VR, I mean, look how clean your view is. There's a lot to like about this aircraft in terms of like experiencing the sim. This will, this is there. There's a lot of aircraft like I love the DA62, but you have that sort of sense that there's that column that's sort of in your way, and you can move your point of view around. But this is literally like being in a Tesla Model X. Like your head is in here someplace in like in a normal setup, and you have a pretty unobstructed view.
Unreal.
Man, that is awesome.
Day one for you, Mike.
Yeah. Appreciate you walking us through that, Nick. Let me go ahead and run this giveaway for the audience as we We wind it down here. Yeah, guys, the any stuttering that you see is certainly not within the sim. It's the screen share through the StreamYard tool that we're showing here. So don't be alarmed. I see a comment in there about stuttering.
Yeah, no,
or lag.
we benchmarked this pretty well. That's actually probably a good point here, real quick, is that
Sure.
where there's no 8K texturing like on this. This is any textures that need to be reduced are being reduced. We're cognizant about load on the sim. The sim right now is fine. For how I have mine set up, mine is
Sure.
completely smooth. I know it doesn't look that way coming through the thing because it has to pass through the bandwidth. And you're probably also relaying this at 720, right? So
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's interested, they can go over to our Discord channel and you can see pictures and right out of the 4K sim pictures. So you're probably losing a lot of the detail, but this aircraft's going to be stripped to the bone of anything that doesn't need to be high texture, that serves no purpose, to keep things pretty light.
Too cool.
A lot of the performance stuff will be based around what's going on with the G3000, how cluttered you have it,
Right.
how many processes and stuff that it's going through. But yeah, this our beta testing crowd is selected on purpose to have a wide range of computer quality and performance quality, as well as some people testing some stuff out in VR. So VR may not technically be officially supported the first time it comes out, but just like what we're doing with the H-Jet and what Marwin's doing is it's going to be dealt with in subsequent updates. So it'll function, but there'll be there'll be quirks and stuff that we're going to address in the beta group. But are things going to be perfect for VR? I don't know. I don't have enough to say one way or the other at the moment, but when it's fully updated, the vast majority of the typical concerns will be dealt with.
Got it.
Too cool.
Excellent. All right, let me go ahead and run this here for the audience. I love that cover. It's the little things, man.
Yep.
That's the little things. Let me know when you guys can see that.
Oh yeah, we're at.
All right, let's run it.
Drum roll, please. I need to add that one of these days. Man.
And no, the cover won't work when the door is open. Those are the things that you button up at the end.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Makes sense. All right, William Farmer. William, are you still here with us in any one of our streams?
Oh, Marwin says he's available now.
Oh,
I don't know how long you guys want to extend. I mean, I'm free for time. I don't know what you guys are, but if you want,
we've actually got another recording here in like 5 minutes, man. We'll definitely have to get Marwin back on.
Go figure.
Absolutely.
Especially after you guys launch the thing, man, right? We got to get you back on. Initial impressions, what's everyone seeing in the community, what you all are seeing on your end. So definitely. Where is it's all right, Mara. We'll get you next time. No worries. Where is William? I don't see you here.
Oh, there he is. We see
got
him there. Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. So William, just reach out to us via the Closed Traffic Podcast email, and we'll get you over your copy.
Cool.
Man, this was this was phenomenal. This was absolutely phenomenal. Nick, great context, great background about the company, awesome vision, no pun intended, around how you guys approach flight simulation. We didn't even get into some
of the other stuff, like what we're doing next and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to come back.
We'll definitely bring you guys back, man. That's
sure.
A teaser. That's how we make sure everyone comes back.
Yeah, actually, I will tell you this: we're kicking around something internally. We're staring at a couple of things internally.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we're staring at, I personally think, if we do it, we pull the trigger on it, is iconic to the sim, and I think it's the next best thing to doing something like like Gulfstream, which you can't do because they're just, they're a certain kind of way about it.
Yeah, I've been, yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're staring at something now that I think everybody get a nice kick out of.
Man,
Wow.
you mentioned Gulfstream, man. You got my ears.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not Gulfstream.
right. But I mean,
Not Gulfstream, but
right.
if you like
Anything
to
in
go
that
high and fast.
category.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you like to go high and fast, then
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Look at the speculation.
I can't call it.
Learjet.
Yeah.
PC-24, bruh. Oh yeah.
Oh,
We're not done
man.
with FlightFx yet, man. We're
not
have
done
to
with
get
them
you
yet.
guys
No,
back on.
listen, we're more than happy to come on any other time you guys want to have us. Anything that we can ever do for you guys, please just let us know.
Same as well.
Even if you want to run another Vision Jet thing, or
Yes.
Marwin, he can comment in your thing. If you want to do an H Jet one, let us know. More than happy to help you. Anything we can do to help promote you guys, just jump into our Discord self promotion channel. Always happy to help you. Appreciate you guys giving us a platform, and hopefully this is informative for your audience.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we get a chance to see. I don't know if you guys are going to go to the expo in Houston.
I will be there.
Oh, we'll be there with bells on.
We'll be there.
Yeah, so I think we're planning on doing the same. So hopefully we can get together there. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to just being able to sit down and meet some people and put some names and faces and stuff like that. So
awesome.
For sure. Absolutely. And same here as well, Nick. This show will always be a platform for you guys. So if there's anything we can do for you as well, please feel free to reach out. I'm sure Mike has the same sentiments as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah, Johnny, think about going to like golf or foxtrot or something.
I had some second thoughts during the show, Nick. Yeah, man, I'm thinking foxtrot has a little bit better.
Foxtrot green.
Yeah, for foxtrot, I think foxtrot suits you a little better than tango.
Exactly.
Hey, just put it in as your middle name. Right?
There you go.
Exactly.
Foxtrot green. I love it.
Hey, Mike, man,
gonna be up with Mike and Charlie on a podcast like this. You got to have some sort of phonetic name. In there.
I know, right, man? Start working on the paperwork today.
All right, dude.
All right, audience, we're gonna count us out here, man. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you for joining. Until next time, keep the blue side up. We'll see ya.